Hey everyone, Michael Coovadia here. And in today's video, I've decided to give each and every single one of you access to the very first module of my latest masterclass. Now, why did I decide to do that? It's around this time of the year that each and every single one of you are going to find out that your clients start dropping out like flies, right? You're going to start getting stressed out because the year started on a great note, and now the people that came in, they signed up, they're actually going to have second thoughts and wanting to fall out. And the only way that you can prevent that is by following the 66-day rule of thumb that I've created. Now, instead of going ahead and buying the masterclass and then investing in it, I've decided to bring it to you, to give you access to the very first module, which is over 45 minutes long, that's going to explain to you exactly why I've structured the masterclass in the way that I did, exactly what the 66-day rule of thumb is, and exactly how you can go ahead and implement that into your business. So whether you decide to buy or not, this module is going to be extremely influential in your business right at this moment in time and for every decision that you make going forward into the future. At any given point in time, if you do decide that you'd like to take me up on my offer for a whopping discount of 75% off, then all you need to do is go ahead in the description. You'll find the link where you can purchase the masterclass for $49, just a whopping $49. So let's go straight on over to the module. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Take notes, make sure to understand exactly what I am teaching, and go ahead and implement it directly into your business. Because without implementation, no matter how great the advice is, your business will never change. So go ahead, listen to the entire module, and then make the changes in your business and watch how your business will flourish in the future. So enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next video next week. Hey everyone, Michael Coovadia here, and welcome to this lesson called the 66-day rule of thumb. Now, I want you to picture this entire masterclass as a house, and the 66-day rule of thumb as the foundation that this house is built on. Because just like my villa, right, it's built on a mountain. It's a beautiful villa overlooking the beautiful ocean. But if this villa didn't have a solid foundation, the entire house, the villa, would not be able to stay in place. I wouldn't be able to enjoy this beautiful view, and my house would crumble, right? Because the foundation wasn't set. And just in the same essence of building the correct foundation, in order for you to be able to retain your clients longer than that 60-day mark, in order to be able to retain your clients and have a sustainable business, you need to work on the foundation first. And the most important thing when it comes to retaining your clients is understanding how to implement the 66-day rule of thumb. So let's get straight into it. Now, I want you to think about a bad habit that you have. The reason I didn't use the word had is because most people fail to break their bad habits. Now, why do you think you have failed to break that bad habit, right? Most people set out to break a bad habit, and after some point in time, they think that they've accomplished that task, only to realize a few months down the line, then when they are not consciously thinking about it, they revert back to doing the thing that they wanted to avoid doing. Now, the same is true when forming a new habit, right? Most people give up way too soon before a habit becomes autonomous, which means before it becomes subconscious and the mind doesn't even think about doing it any longer. And this is why 90% of people drop out of the gym or any fitness institution after the first 3 months. Now think about it like this to understand this concept, right? How many days do you think it takes to break or to form a new habit? I'm sure most of you are probably thinking 7, 14, or 21, right? Because that's what the news teaches us, that's what we've been taught, or you probably just guessed this number and you have no idea why you think that it takes 7, 14, or 21 days to break or form a new habit. But what if I told you that scientific evidence has shown that it takes 66 days in order to break or form a new habit? This is the main reason why most people drop out of the gym and most people drop out of all fitness institutions, so be it your yoga studio, your swim class, whatever it might be, after the first 3 months. The main reason is because they haven't taken that approach of the 66 days of trying to get this to be a habit, right? Or trying to get it to move from doing something continuously on a daily basis, not knowing why, in order to form into a habit that gets into the subconscious mind, is ingrained into the subconscious mind, and the mind no longer thinks about doing it, it just happens. Let's give you a perfect example, right? Think about this morning when you woke up and you brushed your teeth. Did you think about which side of your mouth you're going to start brushing on, be it the left or the right? Absolutely not, right? As you got dressed this morning before you left home for work, did you actually think which shoe you're going to put first, the left or the right shoe? No, you didn't, because over time it's become a habit to either put the left or the right shoe on, and your brain doesn't even think about it any longer at all. In fact, that action has become ingrained, right, in your brain, in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, in order to form a habit, so you don't think about it. The brain can preserve its energy while the subconscious mind takes over, and you continuously do this over and over each and every single day, like a robot, right, autonomous, without even thinking about it at all. Now, once you understand this concept, I'm sure most of you can already see where I'm going, right? Once you understand this concept, you can use it in your clients' lives to actually get them to stay with you for a longer period of time. Now, most people come through to the gym, right? They set New Year's resolutions, or they come through to the gym because they want to reach a specific goal. That's the main reason most people come through, right? Now, in the first month of coming through, they have this massive motivation. They're motivated. They don't even need to be told to come through to the gym. They want to do it. They are coming through, or they're coming through to your yoga studio, or whoever you are, right, in the fitness industry. I'm going to use the gym because I was a personal trainer, and this is the biggest problem I found in the gym. Most people drop out after 3 months. So they come through to the gym. Guess what happens? The first month is all good. The second month is where they start dropping out, right? Now it starts getting harder and harder and harder for them to come through. And in the third month, most of them actually give up. They cancel their gym contracts and they go and find another hobby, or they make excuses that they don't have time. But think about if you could implement the 66-day rule in their life, right? Now, I'm going to be taking you over to my MacBook shortly to teach you exactly how this works and to show it to you visually so you can understand it a little bit better than me just explaining it and you listening to it. But imagine what would happen in the first 66 days of taking this approach, right? So we break it down into a third. The first third, which is the first 22 days of the 66-day rule. Imagine if you could take this client and you could set goals for them, right? We're going to be covering this and you're going to understand exactly how to do this. But if you set specific goals, and I don't mean wishes, I don't just mean getting into great shape, that's just a wish. I mean specific goals so they know exactly what is going to happen over the 66-day period. You'd have lower churn rates. People would stay with you for a longer period of time and would be able to successfully increase that lifetime value of your client. Move into the second third of the 66-day rule and you got the second 22 days, right? This is what gets the hardest. This is where people start questioning why they're actually in the gym, or why they're coming through to the yoga studio or the swim classes or whatever they might be doing, right? They're confused. They don't know why they're actually coming through. More than just that, they're frustrated. They don't actually know why they're not seeing any results. And this is what motivates them to drop out, right? But because their bodies haven't been accustomed to it yet, because they haven't been made aware of how long it takes to actually see results, Rome wasn't built in a day. This is why they have the misconception that they should be seeing results in the second 22 days, which never happens. You and I both know that, right? It took me 5 years to get my business to more than 6 figures a month every single month. It didn't happen in the first 44 days of me building a business, and it never happens in fitness as well. Now take that second 22 days where they're misinformed, they don't see any results, and now they're demotivated. Do you think they're actually going to move through to the last third, the last 22 days, the last 66 days, right? Of course not. They're going to drop out. This is the main reason behind why most people fail and why most people give up after 3 months of joining the gym. Statistics show 90% of people quit the gym or quit any physical exercise or activities that they've enrolled in after 3 months because They don't see any results because they haven't set goals, or because what? The true reason behind it is because it hasn't been ingrained as a habit just yet. In order for it to be ingrained as a habit, you need 66 days. And I'm going to be teaching you how to work with your clients over the next 66 days in order to get their new routine ingrained into their brains and get it ingrained into becoming a habit, so they never have to be told to come through to the gym, they're never demotivated to come through to the gym, and they know exactly what to expect. Because the moment we can make it an autonomous process where they come through, they're not even thinking about it, they know exactly what needs to happen, that's where you win. That's where you'll keep the clients longer than 3 months. That's where they'll actually be begging you to stay, right? They'll want to stay with you for as long as they possibly can, and you'll never have to worry about them leaving. You'll get predictability, you'll be able to scale your business, and you'll have sustainability. Your business will be able to withstand the ultimate test of time. So we want to take their newfound behavior and we want to convert it into a habit, a habitual process of what they do on a daily or weekly basis, so it becomes second nature. Because the moment we can move it from just an action that they do and they're not sure why they're doing it, to the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and then the subconscious mind takes over so they never have to think about it, that's where you win. The moment you get them over that 66-day mark, provided you can actually deliver results, that's where you'll win. That's where you won't even have to worry about them staying or leaving, because staying is the only option for them, because it becomes a habit. Now let's head straight on over to my MacBook, and I'm going to demonstrate this in more depth for you, and you're going to get a downloadable for you to download so that you know and understand exactly how to work with the 66-day rule of thumb in order to build a solid foundation both for you and your clients, so that you see sustainability and longer lifetime values. So I'll see you guys on my MacBook right now.
Now, for the remainder of this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you everything that I've been speaking to you about, but visually showing you so that you have a better understanding of how to implement the 66-day rule of thumb and why it is so important. Now, as mentioned, the 66-day rule of thumb is the foundation that any sustainable fitness business needs to be built on, right? Just think about a house. A house cannot stand, no matter how beautiful the house seems, right, without a solid foundation. Because at the end of the day, the house will crumble. You could build the most beautiful house in the world, but if you don't have a great foundation, the foundation is going to inevitably give in and the house is going to collapse, right? So the 66-day rule is extremely important, and you need to be able to focus on it in order to be able to retain your clients longer than that 60-day mark. Now, we don't run without being able to walk, and we don't walk without being able to crawl, right? That's the natural evolution of human life. I can guarantee you right now, there's not one single individual on earth who was able to run before they were able to crawl. Because as we evolve, right, from being a toddler to being someone that is able to walk to being able to run, right? We have to go through that evolutionary process. We have to crawl, then we have to walk, and once we're able to walk and get our balance correctly, we can start learning how to run. Just think of riding a bicycle in the very beginning as well, right? When you're a young kid learning how to ride a bicycle, you have training wheels on either side, the left and the right hand side of the bike, right? And then as you get better and better, you start removing the training wheels. So maybe you might remove the left side of the training wheel, and then you have balance on the right? And then you start learning how to balance a little bit more with one training wheel. And then you remove both training wheels, and now things might still be wobbly when both training wheels are gone, but eventually you do evolve and you learn how to balance completely without the training wheels at all. And that's the natural evolution of everything on earth, right? We have to go through a process of learning in order to be able to achieve mastery. And the same is true with your clients. It all happens exactly like this. As I'm saying, we crawl. Once we learn and we've mastered crawling, what's the next step? It's walking, right? And once you're able to walk without falling, what's the next step? It's running, right? And if there were flying and humans were able to fly, then we'd probably have flying after running. But running is the point where evolution is at this moment in time. There has been nothing further than running, right? Telepathy or anything like that, none of those things are possible. The natural evolution of all human life is crawling, walking, and then running. So you must understand this, and therefore, once you get this clear understanding of the natural evolution, you can implement it into your business, and you will 100% be able to retain your clients for the longest period of time possible. Now, when we start off with any new activity, it feels unnatural at first and takes time to master. Once mastered, the activity becomes ingrained in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and a habit is formed in the basal ganglia, right? So this is extremely important to understand. Habits need to be formed. These things happen in the brain, namely the prefrontal cortex, which sits right in the front of the head, and the basal ganglia, which sits more towards the back of the head, right? More of the subconscious mind. The moment an activity gets stored in the basal ganglia, that's when it becomes automatic. That's when it becomes autonomous, right? And that's where you can do it without even thinking, like brushing your teeth, as I demonstrated earlier, right? You don't even think which side of your mouth you're going to start on. You just start by brushing and you move forward, because it's a subconscious, it's being ingrained in the subconscious mind in the basal ganglia, and it's a habit that you do continuously over and over and over each and every single day, and you will continue to do every single day for the rest of your life. The activity then becomes part of the subconscious mind, and we do it on autopilot, almost like a robot. Like I mentioned, right? Brushing your teeth. You never have to think about it. It's an autopilot, like a robot. A robot never thinks about what it's going to do. A robot just does. And that's exactly the same thing we want to happen with your clients, right? We want to be able to have them take this new activity, be it coming to the gym, be it taking up yoga, be it swimming, whatever their new activity is in the fitness industry. We want it to become a subconscious activity so they can do it on autopilot without even thinking about it at all, like a robot. Because when they are able to convert that activity into a habit, right, which forms in the basal ganglia of the brain, that is when you will have them for as long as you possibly want them. And that's how you build sustainability in your business and get financial freedom at the end of the day. Now, to demonstrate this point even further, I've actually put together this piece of me driving right in a new country. So I remember the first time I ever drove in a new country. At first, I was extremely excited for the experience I was about to have, right? I even took a picture of it because, you know, in the very beginning, I mean, imagine being or learning how to drive on the left side of the road, and then you go to a country where they drive on the right side of the road, and you've never done it before. You've only seen it in movies, and now you want to experience it, right? What do you think is going to happen? I was excited, right? In the very beginning. I mean, look at my face. I was excited. This is why I took a picture of it as well. But until I started moving, then it hit me, right? What the fuck was I doing? Oh shit, I'm going to crash. Holy shit. This is scary. But if I gave up during that period of time, I would have never been able to drive in any new country, and I would have been, or I would have had to use Ubers to go wherever I wanted to go, right? Thus missing out on the beauty of the journey and being dependent on someone else. Now, during this time where I felt these fears, right, where I thought I didn't know what I was doing, where it felt like I was going to crash, if I didn't push through and I didn't persevere, right, what do you think would have happened? I would continuously rely on Ubers. And here's the crazy thing about Uber. In most countries that I travel to, right, even if they first world countries, like Hungary, for example, or Budapest, they don't have Uber. Uber just doesn't work at all. So then what do? You go and you have to find other means of transport. You have to use public transportation. The only way you're able to transport yourself around and be independent is by learning how to drive. This is what I told myself. So I have to learn how to drive on the opposite side of the road, regardless of how fearful I was, regardless of how little I knew, but I had to continuously practice it until it became a second, you know, like breathing to me. Because in the very beginning, when I drove on the left side of the road, the side that I learned how to drive on, it felt exactly the same way. And I didn't even think about it, that over time this process became so ingrained that I never had to think about driving. Think about you guys right now, right? For those of you who can drive, and I assume it's every single one of you, right? How did you learn to drive? In the very beginning, it felt scary. It felt like you were doing something wrong. You felt like you were going to crash, but you forgot about that period of time because of the reward that you experience right now. You never think about driving. You never think about putting the car into reverse and taking it out, right? Or putting it into the first gear or shifting to the second, third, fourth. It happens automatically. Now, the moment you change that routine a bit and you move to the opposite side of the road, you think, holy shit, what's happening? But you fail to realize you went through the same process when you learned to drive on the right side of the road, right? Or whichever side you learned to drive. The same process you went through in the very beginning, you're going through at this moment in time as well. It has to become a habit, and it has to be ingrained in the subconscious mind, both in the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia, right? Because if it doesn't get ingrained in the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia, then you are not going to be able to do it on autopilot. You're going to continuously be fearful. And guess what's going to happen? You're never going to be dependent. You're going to continuously need to rely on public transportation, right? But I didn't want that to be me because I travel extensively and I wanted to experience the beauty of the journey. I wanted to experience it for myself, what it feels like to drive in an open road surrounded by beautiful mountain and scenery that I've never seen before. And the only way to do that was to continuously push through until driving on the opposite side of the road became a habit. The same is true for everything we do in life, right? From going to the gym, to holding a yoga pose, to swimming, to driving home and eating, right down to sex before bed. These processes have become autonomous and we don't even think about them any longer. I mean, just think about them. Do you think about what you're going to do in the gym now that you've been in the gym for however many years? If you do yoga, do you think about how long you're going to hold the yoga pose for or how it's going to hurt or anything like that? When you swim, do you think about putting the right hand in front of the left hand or kicking your feet or breathing or none of those things, right? When you're driving home, as I've already mentioned, you don't even think about it. When you're eating, do you think how many times you need to chew your food before you swallow? When you're having sex, do you think, oh shit, I need to do these many strokes or whatever you need to be feeling, I need to breathe this way or whatever I need to do? You don't think about it because they've become autonomous, right? And they've become ingrained in the basal ganglia and the prefrontal cortex. That's exactly what you need to do with the newfound activity that your new clients have taken on and turn it into a subconscious activity. It needs to become autonomous and they need to do it without thinking. So how does all of this tie into the 66-day rule of thumb? Well, I'm glad you asked. Now, the 66-day rule of thumb is broken down into 3 various stages, right? Very distinct stages as well. We have the first stage, which consists of the first 22 days, right? I'll be diving into this shortly. Then we have the second stage, which consists of the next 22 days, right? You see this pie chart, each 66 of the pie chart is the full 66 days, but each specific piece of the pie chart consists of each different stage, which is broken down into 22 days, and therefore it takes 33% of the entire pie chart, right? Now, the second phase, you're going to take different actions. What you do in the second phase is going to be very different and very distinct from the first phase, right? And then we have the third phase where the entire process becomes autonomous, where it's ingrained in the prefrontal cortex and the habit is formed in the basal ganglia. And the things you do in the third phase, the way you run your business, the way you support your clients are very different from what you do in the first stage and the second stage. You have to be able to understand this. So we get these 3 stages, right? Stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. And the way and the manner in which you conduct your business, yourself, the way you push your clients in each one of these different stages changes greatly. It's literally like night and day. What you do in the first stage, you don't do in the second stage, and what you do in the second stage, you don't do both in the first and the third. It's completely different, and most fitness professionals fail to understand this. I mean, when last did you think that it actually boiled down to the habits that your clients take, which makes them fall away from the gym, your yoga studio, or whatever, right? Because, truth be told, statistics show that 90% of people quit the gym or quit any physical activity or anything physical that they enroll in after 3 months. Do you see why now? Because they haven't gone through this entire process of the 66-day approach. So let's dive in even further and I'll show you exactly how it works. Now, in the first stage of the 66 days, right, the first 22 days, this is where the brain is forming new synaptic pathways. So just think of new axon terminals being formed in the brain, right? It's forming new connections because we're doing new tasks. If someone's coming through to the gym and going to run on the treadmill, the new behavior needs to form new synaptic pathways so the brain knows how to be able to perform this exercise. If it's doing a bicep curl, then the brain needs to perform synaptic pathways so that the muscles know when to fire and when to contract together. If it's doing a yoga pose, or if it's swimming, it's breathing, right? The brain needs to form synaptic pathways amongst breathing so that the body knows how to contract its breathing, how to breathe, inhale and exhale correctly. Whatever the new activity is, the brain forms new synaptic pathways in order to be able to accommodate for this new activity, right? Now, this is the most exciting phase for every single individual. Just think about New Year's resolutions that come through. They don't need motivation, right? They are generally super motivated to move forward and push as hard as they can, right? Nobody tells them to come through. Why do you think people sign up for the gym every single year? Thousands and thousands and thousands of people from January to March, and then the gyms are empty as you could ever imagine, right? Because these New Year's resolutions, they come through. They're super motivated. Nobody tells them to come through, and they just do it, right? It's so exciting for them, and this happens year after year after year, even though they know that they're going to drop out in March, or they're going to drop out of the yoga studio in March, or swimming, or whatever it might be, right? They still do it year in and year out because it's a behavioral pattern of theirs that you need to break. But what you need to do in these first 22 days are very different, right? You don't necessarily need to be as supportive as you would be in the second stage, which I'll dive into shortly. But the first 22 days are going to be relying on you, and we will be covering this in how you set your business up. And this entire masterclass is going to be broken down into the 3 different stages, right? So stage 1, what you're going to do with your business and your clients in stage 1 in order to be able to retain them for a longer period of time. What you do in stage 2, how you set your business up, how you work with your clients, what you do with your clients in stage 2. And lastly, stage 3, right? It's going to be broken down into a 3-stage approach. Now, it's very important for you to understand that people are motivated, as I've mentioned. They don't need much. They're going to do it by themselves. Just think about getting something you really wanted as a perfect example here, right? And this will show you the perfect conclusion to the first 22 days. So imagine you got, or you've been saving up for a, let's just say an iPhone 12 Pro for the entire year. And now you finally got the iPhone 12 Pro, right? Nobody tells you to use it. You're super excited to continuously use it on a daily basis. You want to take the best pictures. You want to be filming it. You want to be showing it to all your friends. You want to be using every single feature on that iPhone 12 Pro because you're extremely excited, right? You're super motivated to have that iPhone 12 Pro. But what do you think happens, right? You move into stage 2, which is the walking phase, right? The second 22 days. This is generally the hardest phase, and most people always lose their motivation during this time frame, right? Just like that iPhone. After the first 22 days of having it, you don't even realize this because it's such a subconscious behavior, right? But it's not this new thing that you're so excited and motivated for any longer. Sure, you have it, you feel good that you have it, but it doesn't bring you as much joy using it as it did in the first 22 days, right? Because in the first 22 days, you were so excited. You had this burning desire to show it to everyone. You wanted to explore every single feature. Now that you did, sadly, what happens, right? That desire falls away. Now it's just a phone, right? And you find something else. And this is what happens with people that come through to the gym, come through to the yoga studio, come through to other places of trying to get in great health and great shape, right? It's the hardest phase for people, and this is where they lose their motivation. They also realize what's going on and why have they decided to do this comes into their mind, right? And it overpopulates their thoughts. So this happens with every single New Year's resolution. I want you to picture this, right? January hits, they're super excited, super motivated, they come through to the gym. Then February might come, or the second 22 days, right? The walking phase. And the realization of what's going on hits them, right? Why have they decided to sign up? Why did they decide to take a personal trainer? Why did they decide to go to yoga classes? What the fuck is going on? And, it overpopulates their thoughts. So they don't know why they actually started this activity. They've lost their motivation, right? and they feel confused. They're overwhelmed with frustration as well because they don't see any results that they thought they'd experience. So at the end of the day, it's extremely important to understand behavioral patterns. Why do people start doing something? For the reward that they think they're going to get at the end of doing something, right? So if someone comes through to the gym to lose weight, I'm going to use this as a perfect example, and they run in the treadmill and they hire a personal trainer or a fitness coach, and now they think within the first 22 days they're going to lose 50 pounds, right? And then it hits in the second 22 days that they haven't lost 55 pounds. What do you think is going to happen? People are overwhelmed, right? They get confused. They're frustrated. They don't see any results and they're wondering what is actually going on. So confusion populates their mind now as well as frustration. They don't see the results they thought they'd experience. And in the very first place, the reason they started the gym was for that reward. Even though they don't think about it like that, that's the behavioral patterns and the psychology of consumers, right? They do something, and every single one of us do something for a reward attached to it at the end of the day, whether you realize that or not, right? So when they don't see the results, the realization comes into their mind, what's actually going on? Why exactly am I doing this? Why did we even start in the first place? I mean, where's the result? Am I doing something wrong? These things populate their mind, and this is the phase where 60% of people drop out. Now, it's very important to understand the difference between this, right? I said within the first 3 months, which is the first 60 days or the first 90 days, right? 90% of people give up, quit, and leave any new activity they started. But in the second 22 days alone, 60% of people drop out, which means more than half the people are dropping out in the second 22 days, the stage 2, right? And do you see why? The realization coming into their mind, the confusion, the frustration, the not seeing any results. You and I both know that they don't see results in the second stage, right? Nobody's going to lose 50 pounds in the first 22 or the second 22 days. We know this is not possible, right? But they don't see it this way because they've been misinformed. So it's your job to set your business up in such a methodical manner that in stage 2, you're there for them, you're supporting them, you have an entire structure geared towards the second stage, which is going to help them move forward. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to be able to do that. So what we're going to do is stop 60% of people from dropping out, right? And we're going to have them and retain them for as long as possible. Once we can actually successfully get through stage 2, we can move into stage 3, right? Which is the running phase. This is the last 22 days. This stage determines whether a person will continue with whatever it is they started moving forward into the future. So for example, you started yoga classes, and if you've made it through the first 44 days, now you're in the last stage, right? The last 22 days of the 66-day approach. This is what is going to determine whether you're going to move forward or not, right? If you can continuously push through successfully these last 22 days. This is one of the most important stages, as this stage is where the newfound behavior is being installed in the prefrontal cortex of the brain and things are starting to feel normal. Right? So it's in this very last stage. Do you see now when people think habits are formed in the first 7 or 21 days? It's not true, right? It only starts happening in the last 22 days, right? So 66 days later, or in that between the 44 and 66 day period, this is where behaviors are being installed in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and they start to feel normal, right? And what is normal? What did I tell you? The new behavior is being integrated into the individual's daily life, and they are starting to be more accepting of it. And why? Because the basal ganglia, right, which is responsible for ensuring these new habits stick and become part of the subconscious mind, is working, right? It's installing these behaviors and it's making it feel normal, like breathing. Breathing feels normal because people learn how to breathe over a period of time, right? And the new behavior or the new activity or whatever they've done, if they continuously push through these last 22 days as well, through stage 3, the running phase, this is where, guess what happens? It gets installed in the prefrontal cortex and it's installed in the basal ganglia, And now what do you think happens? Now you successfully have the behavior ingrained, right? It becomes a habit and people continuously want to do it regardless of whether that end goal is there or not. And there's always that end goal. There's always that reward at the end of the day, but now they don't think about it any longer. Now they crave more of that action of doing it. For example, you come through to the gym and you get those endorphins released, you get that muscle pump, or you go through to that yoga studio and you feel that sense of relief. That's what you're after at the end of the day. And that becomes the new reward that you want for yourself, right? So it changes from, for example, wanting to lose 20 or 30 pounds, because eventually you are going to lose that, right? But now you crave something different. And this is that behavior that becomes subconscious. Now, it's the lack of knowledge and understanding of the 66-day rule of thumb which causes 90% of people to drop out of the activities that they started. Truth be told, right? Nobody understands this. Nobody, not you, not your clients, understands the 60-60 rule of thumb. And this is why 90% of people continuously drop out. And this is why you have fluctuations in your business. This is why you don't have sustainability in your business. And this is why you can never plan your business according to how you feel you should be able to plan it. This is why you can never plan your finances, because you never know how much you're going to earn in the next month, right? You have a rough estimate, but it's never down to the T. Because if you understand the 66-day rule of thumb, imagine what would happen if 90% of your clients didn't drop out and they stayed with you throughout the years. You'd never ever have a problem with money, finances, or sustainability ever again. You'd never have to stress about anything ever, right? Because you understand how to implement the 66-day rule of thumb, and you can teach it to your clients as well. And more than just that, you can build your business around the 66-day rule of thumb, which is the foundation, which will help you carry your business forward. Just imagine how you are going to shock your clients and peers when you are the most successful fitness professional with the most sustainable business, all because you understand this golden rule. At the end of the day, that's all it comes down to, understanding and implementing the 66-day rule of thumb. You have a 66-day window to turn any new prospect into a long-term client. Now, why do I use the word prospect and not client, right? Because in the first 66 days, regardless of whether they're paying you money or not, they're in a trial phase. Truth be told, you see the evidence, right? They are trying out your service. This is the window that you have to turn them from a prospect that's just trying out the service into a long-term client. And the manner in which you set up your business and conduct yourself in each one of these core stages is going to greatly impact your ability to turn your prospect into a long-term client with a high lifetime value. And again, I've mentioned this, I'm going to teach you how to set your business up as well as the way you conduct yourself in each one of these stages, which is going to impact, the manner that these people view you in and the positioning that they see you with, and your ability to turn them into a long-term client with a high lifetime value. Now, you've heard me use the phrase lifetime value multiple times already. So what exactly do I mean by that? Lifetime value is pretty simple and straightforward. The amount of money a client spends on your business before they terminate their services with you. Point blank, point simple, right? So if I were coming through to you and you were a personal trainer and I were to spend $100,000 on you, right, throughout a given period of time, that's the lifetime value at the end of the day. My lifetime value with you is $100,000 before I terminate my services. So from each and every single client, you can get $100,000. So that means if you have 10 clients, you make $1 million, right? Because each one of their lifetime values are $100,000. And why is that important? Well, that's pretty simple too. The more money a client spends on your business, the more predictability and sustainability you can expect in your business. What does that mean, right? You can spend more time working and less time stressing, because most of you continuously stress about where your clients are going to come from, how you're going to market yourselves, how you're going to have enough money to afford vacations or afford things for your family and your rentals for the spaces that you rent, or your gym rentals or whatever it is. But the longer we can extend a client's lifetime value, the more predictability and sustainability you can have in your business. Now you can plan your finances down to a T. You can plan your investments. You can plan every single thing about your business and your life. Guess what? You work more, you stress less, right? At the end of the day. I have created a worksheet for you to download which summarizes the 66-day rule of thumb. Please download it now and familiarize yourself with it, as this is the foundation for building a successful and sustainable fitness business. So what we're going to do is just in the download section below this video, you're going to see this downloadable PDF called the 66-day rule of thumb. We're going to open it up right now. Now, this worksheet, right, is just a quick summary of everything that you've been taught throughout this entire lesson, and I wanted to summarize it for you so you understand it. Now, 90% of people give up and quit before they have the chance to turn their new behavior into a habit which sticks. The biggest problem is that 99% of people are not aware that they need to form habits in order to succeed and achieve their goals, as you've been taught, right? At the end of the day, all that goals are boils down to actions taken over a period of time. And all those actions that happen over and over again can be classified as habits. That's all that actions are, right? Something that we do over and over and over again is a habit. In order to withstand the ultimate test of time and build a business that is sustainable, one which has low churn rates and one which has many happy clients, you have to understand and implement the 66-day rule of thumb. Now, what is a churn rate? A churn rate is the amount of time someone spends in your business before they drop out and then you have to replace them with someone else. Just think of the churn rate as the lifetime value, right? We want lower churn rates and longer lifetime values. Now, this is the 66 days of forming a new habit, right? You've already seen the pie chart before. We got stage 1, we got stage 2, and we got stage 3. Each stage has the exact amount of days, 22 days per stage, right? So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Now in stage 1, the crawling phase, people are often super motivated. You don't need to do much for your new prospects. And again, the reason I use the word prospects is because until they pass that 66-day mark, they are not a client of yours. Once they pass that 66-day mark, then we can call them clients. You need to set up your business in a way that correlates to this stage and ensures that a smooth foundation is set. In this stage, because people are super motivated, right? They don't need you to do much. You, however, need to set your business up. You need to work on yourself and your business in order to be able to succeed and in order to get a smooth transition and a great foundation built, right? Then we can move on to stage 2. This is the walking phase. This is often the hardest stage for most people. This is where most people drop out and lose motivation. This is where confusion, doubt, and frustration start to kick in. If you are able to set up your business correctly and follow all the steps from stage 1, you should be able to navigate these rocky waters quite smoothly and transition with your prospect into stage 3. At the end of the day, every stage follows each other, right? So there's a correlation between the two. Picture the house. You build the foundation, then you build the walls. Stage 2 could be the wall, right? Or the walking phase. And then stage 3, which is the roof of the home, or the running phase. This is the stage where habits are starting to form in the prefrontal cortex. The new behavior is becoming subconscious as the basal ganglia takes control. This is the stage where you successfully turn your prospect into a long-term, high-paying client. This is where you know you get sustainability in your business. You cannot skip any of these stages, and neither can your clients. You have to go through this evolutionary process to become successful and achieve a sustainable business. This is extremely important to understand. So many times people think they can skip these stages, right from stage 1 through to stage 3. And my friends, this is exactly why you don't have a business that's sustainable. This is exactly why you don't have your income exactly where you want it to be. And this is exactly why 90% of people drop out of any new activity they start after the first 3 months, right? Because of this problem. Nobody understands this problem, and this is why this continuously happens. I am now going to teach you how to tailor your business to specifically excel in each one of these stages so that you can retain your clients from any given period of time that you choose. Again, as I've mentioned, each different stage, right? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You need to have a different approach to your business and your clients, the way you work with them, the way you interact with them, the support that you provide, which is crucially important to move them into the next stage and then turn them into a high-paying client. Knowledge is the precursor to success, and this is your first lesson on your path to a more sustainable, successful, and well-rounded business. This means that knowledge must come first, right? Without knowledge, you cannot get success. So I'm so glad that you are here, because at this point in time, you are receiving all the knowledge that you need in order to build a sustainable, successful, and well-rounded business. So are you ready to move on to the first stage and set up your business for success? Well then, I'll be seeing you in the next lesson right now.